Hi there, this is Prakash. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing good. So today we'll be talking about half lifeline or short lifeline or partial lifeline. So when you hear this term, what does come to your mind? Fear, or even that serious word, D word. But let me tell you, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to be scared or afraid or anxious, because lifeline, first of all, doesn't mean longevity, it doesn't represent lifespan, and it's not about duration of your life, it's something else. And we'll see what it really indicates about person's grounding, stability and identity. So let's talk about lifeline in short. What it is: it is one of the three main lines. There are three primary lines or major lines or main lines in palmistry, out of which one is lifeline, other are being heartline and headline, but today's focus is on lifeline. So that is lifeline. What does it indicate? Well, lifeline indicates physical energy and vitality. So how a person's vitals and energy levels are, how much vigor life person has. It also indicates the immunity, the ability to recover from illness or stress, that is shown by lifeline. Point number two, environmental grounding. It means how grounded person feels in life. So grounding may refer to sense of security, psychological stability, connection to family and roots. Point number three, relationship with environment. So since lifeline curves around this mount of Venus, so the mount of Venus is family, relations, emotions, comfort, warmth, affection. So it also shows the upbringing, the childhood, the nourishment, the care which person received or did not receive. So how comfortable the person is, how is a person's relation with family, so it indicates that thing as well. Fourth point, major life transitions. So whenever there are cut, breaks, shift or changes in lifeline, it may indicate to relocations, transfers. Let's say person is moving from one city to another, one country to another. Yes, a change in lifestyle, and it should be a major change. Let's say person was having a very conservative lifestyle, now the person has become very liberal in lifestyle or very lavish in lifestyle, and vice versa. Then there are different changes like career. So let's say there's a career change from business to job to business, or even in the job completely different industries or sectors, like from engineering to marketing or sales, and vice versa. And health adjustments, so this is shown by the different markings on lifeline. So this was in short about lifeline. So let's clarify this confusion and misunderstanding, that lifeline does not mean lifespan, it does not show age, it does not show period of life. Yes, so half lifeline doesn't mean half life, short lifeline doesn't mean short life, and half lifeline doesn't mean death. Yes, definitely it's not about death. So I hope this is clear. We'll talk about the environmental grounding part, which is very important here. So even you can understand physical energy levels, let's say how energetic the person is, because a strong powerful lifeline indicates a very robust person, good energies levels and vitals, vigor and strength. And faint lifeline may mean a person who is weak, delicate, has low energy levels, or very having delicate nervous system. Okay, and we also saw the environment, we also saw the family, we also saw the conditioning, how the person may have been conditioned in the past, in the childhood. Yes, so this is there, but the very important part, the key part is environmental grounding or stability. What does that mean? We'll talk about that because it has direct relation with half lifeline. It directly relates to half lifeline or partial lifeline. The grounding part, the environmental grounding. Yeah, it may be there. It may also relate to low or physical energy levels or nervousness, some physical weakness that is there. But that depends on other factors. But the environmental grounding, stability, psychological stability part is very important here. So we'll talk about that in detail. So what is environmental grounding? Well, it relates to sense of security, stability, psychological stability, connection to family, roots, comfort in the environment. That did not click, right? Let's go further. So when we say environmental grounding or psychological stability, basically it's nothing but settling, how settled a person feels. So there are three main pillars to it. So one is how connected they feel in their life, how comfortable they feel in their role, and how anchored they feel in their environment. So we'll talk about that. So let's talk about the first point, connected to their life. So what does it mean? It means the person feels they are part of life, they belong in life, they are not detached to it. So when a person feels connected to their life, they participate in life, in daily life, with people, in their roles and responsibilities. They interact with people around them. Okay, so this is, they feel like they are alive. They feel like when they wake up, they feel, oh, life is happening to me. Yes, I am part of it. So this is what means connected to their life. Second is comfortable in their identity. So what does this mean? It means, first of all, they know they have place in the world. They are something. What are roles? There are different roles, like parent, like father, mother, husband, wife, child, brother, sister, okay, manager, worker, businessman, or even a laborer. So these are all roles. So when a person has some role, particular role, so they feel accepted in their role, they feel comfortable in their role, and they feel their life has some direction, some purpose. So this is what it means to be comfortable in their identity. Third part is anchored in the environment. So what does it mean? So environment means you have some place, you have belonging, you belong somewhere. So there's a home, there's an environment, there's a relationship, familial ties. So when person feels anchored in the environment, they have home, they have belonging. Okay, they feel like they have some environment, some comfort, let's say village or their own place, their own home. So they have this thing and people around them which are very familiar, close, having good relations. So this is what it means when they feel anchored in their environment. When we combine all the 3 points, it simply means person feels alive in their life, they know who they are, and they feel connected to life. Yes, they enjoy the life. Now if you look closely in all these 3 points, be it be connected to life, comfortable in their identity, or anchored in the environment, which there is one common thing, the role or identity, what person is. Because person is there, the person is something which is identity. So there is one common thread, identity, ego, let's say ego self. So we'll talk about it more in detail because this is the next part of our discussion. Now from here on, the discussion will be more of a psychological, because there's a lot of psychology involved in this. So bear with me. Okay, I'll explain it to you very clearly. Don't worry about that. So here's how it goes. So identity is the central point here. That is the, let's say, main villain in this saga. So let's discuss that. So before that, let me clear it out. 3 actors are involved, or 3 things are involved here: role, identity, and ego. Now this ego is the self, I. Okay, they are the same. The ego, you call it as the ego, or the self, meaning the who you are, you the person, or I, simply I. So ego, self, I, they are all synonymous, they are one and the same. And apart from that, we have role and identity. So let's discuss about them one by one. So first we have to be clear about role and identity. So what is a role? Role is nothing but a function. It's a responsibility. It's something what you do. There are different kinds of role. Again, I have to go through that. Let's say father, mother, brother, sisters, husband, wife, and then we have corporate or work roles. Let's say employee, private employee, government employee, engineer, doctor, a lawyer, and then we have, let's say, even a laborers, okay, factory workers. So these are all roles. So role is something you perform. It's an action. It's something you perform to get something out of it. Let's say money or some stuff. And then there is identity. Now, what is identity? Identity is something which ego feels who it is. It is a story. Identity is nothing but story, which is built around that role. Because the role itself is something, there is some story going on in that role itself. But when ego starts building its own story around that role, it becomes identity. So identity is believing who you are. Identity is when ego feels he is the role. The role is the self. That's what identity is. Okay, so ego feels he is the role. So identity is when the mind starts believing the role is the self. Okay, when the mind, when the ego, the I believes that the role is he himself or she herself. How? There is a role, let's say manager. So there is one way of saying it. I work as a manager at so and so company. So this is the role you're defining it, which is clear, absolutely fine. This is how it's supposed to be. But when someone says I am manager, then that is ego saying, because now ego is equating it as identity, equating it with role. He is thinking he is the role. So another example is when mother says to clearly say as a role. So mother can say my role is to take care of children. So that is role. That is fine, good, that is healthy. And now if she says my entire purpose is being a mother, then that is the issue, because that is not who you are, and that's what ego says. Okay, so role is just one function, it's just one responsibility. This is not who you are fundamentally. You are not born with this. For example, you are not born as teacher, or you are not born as engineer. You are not teacher before you were born, and when you were born, and now, right now you are. It's not like that, right? It is one role which gets, let's say, developed during certain time. It gets executed, performed for some period. So this is what role is. But if you think this is your identity, this is who you are fundamentally, essentially, this is what you were in the past life, previous life, while you were born, right now, and next birth or something, you are nothing but that role, which becomes, then it becomes your identity. Then that is not a good sign. Now let's see how it is not good. So we have defined clearly what is a role. It's just a function, responsibility, duty. It is something you perform in this world to get some output, some benefit. And identity is when mind, when the ego, when the I thinks he is the role himself or herself. Okay, so that's what we have understood till now. Now let's take this journey forward. So we'll take two parallel examples, one for a man and one for a woman. So man is, let's say, he's general manager of some automobile company, production company, let's say automobile production company, and the woman is a housewife. So man is the provider of the family. He takes care of all the finances, everything, whatever is there to take care of. Okay, so he's a provider, he's the caretaker, he's the manager of everything. And for the woman who is a housewife, she's also taking care of children, husband, relatives. She's providing them, she's helping them. Okay, she's helping them to stand on their own feet, or at least teaching them, guiding them. Yes. So what happens? So over the period, let's say when they perform these roles, now they perform these roles for at least 20-30 years, yes, or at the most 40 years. So they get constant validation, approval from society validates them, approves them, okay, respects them, gives some respect. Well, it is possible in case of professional role, so yeah, that person gets awards, recognition, accolades, okay. And for housewife, she also gets some recognition within the home surrounding, okay, in the neighborhoods, that she is a good, let's say, mother, a wife, because she takes care of her husband as well and the children and others. So and she's running the home, maintaining the home, running the house, so it's a big thing. So this is the role they are performing, but they get constant validation, so it reinforces this identity now. So now comes the identity into picture. So what was supposed to be a role, okay, but due to constant validation, reinforcement from society, from other people, okay, the mind, the ego starts believing he is the role himself, he is that identity now. So now he thinks I am this role. So me and this role are non-different. So that's how ego thinks now. So he thinks he is the role himself. So that becomes his identity. Okay. Because see, any role is itself identity. Okay. That is the identity itself. But the problem here is that identity is getting rigid now. Now that identity is getting solidified, cemented, fixed with ego. So now that identity, which is a role, any role is identity, so that identity is now getting crystallized, it is getting firmly set. Now ego grabs that identity, ego grabs that role. Now the ego, let's say this ego and this is identity, now this identity was for general manager and housewife, so this identity, okay, is grabbed by this ego, so they are fused together. Now they are non-different, just like a nuclear fusion reaction in the sun where four hydrogen atoms combine to form one helium atom. Now you cannot get back the hydrogen atoms from helium because now they are fused together and making something differently. Okay, so similarly, so now ego, now there's no differentiation between ego and identity, which was role. That identity was basically nothing but role. Now but it has become identity, and now it has become non-different from ego. So identity and ego are non-different, they are inseparable. What happens here psychologically? So when this happens, so now ego has anchored himself, ego has stabilized itself with that identity of performing some role. Yes, so now ego takes or derives self-worth, respect, purpose and life direction. Remember these 4 points. Okay, ego derives these things from that identity, which is now non-different from ego. So mathematically now ego equals identity, they are a equals b, ego equals identity. Okay, and now ego is deriving the self-worth, respect, life direction and purpose from this identity. Okay, so you can even further equate ego equals identity equals self-worth, respect, life direction and purpose. So let's say 20-30 years have passed. Now something interesting happens, but this is not something interesting, with this is very natural course of life. So let's say the age of retirement comes, so the man gets retired. Okay, similarly for women, children are grown up, they are settled, they have moved to other city, state or even country along with their wife or spouse. Okay, and there's less responsibility even at home, and even for the man. Okay, he has retired from the job, so there is no role, so he has been cut off from that routine, that structure, that environment, that corporate, that social environment, situation, people, gatherings. Similarly for housewife also, because she was taking care of that, she had taken charge of that household, she had control, she was managing something, someone, directing, influencing, she was doing everything. So because this was her identity, so now that identity is dissolving, that identity has shaken up. Similarly, for the man, that identity of general manager, he was managing something. Even at workplace, he was doing something, right? He was managing, he was directing people. So now that has taken a hit. Not taken a hit, basically that has disappeared completely. So for a man, think from man's perspective, that identity of general manager is disappeared. And from woman's perspective, that identity of housewife, in this case, taking care, managing, running, governing everything inside the home and children, that has disappeared. So what happens here? These identities have disappeared. Now ego equated, we know that ego equaled identity. Now this is disappearing, this is shaken up, this is crumbling. So what crumbles further? That self-respect, self-worth, respect, self-worth, life direction and purpose, that gets shaken up, that gets destroyed. Okay, so but these all equal to ego, because all these things were equal to ego. So now ego feels he's getting shaken up, destroyed or damaged. So this is what feels. So ego is nothing but you yourself, the person who is doing all this thing. So he feels as if he's disappearing. He feels unsettled because identity disappeared. So self-worth, respect, self direction and purpose disappeared. So now the person feels lifeless, directionless, purposeless, having no self-worth. So they feel as if they are, you know what I mean. So that's what happens. So there's no physical death or anything, it's just identity crisis or ego crisis. Okay, since because ego thought he was the identity, he was that role which it formally cemented its place in the form of identity. So now since that identity has disappeared, so that self-respect, direction, purpose and life, everything feels disappeared, everything feels gone. So ego feels he's gone. So ego feels as if he's dying, but that's not the case. So this is what the meaning of that half lifeline. So that part of lifeline where it is very very faint, as if non-existent. So basically it means, yeah, maybe the person is feeling directionless, purposeless, lifeless. Yes, so that is the meaning of half lifeline. That's what it actually meant. So if you see, it's all about psychology, it's all psychological. Yes, nothing supernatural, nothing paranormal, nothing superstitious and nothing magical. It's all in their brain, it's all in the head, it's all psychology. Okay, so yeah, so this is what the real definition, this is the real explanation of half lifeline. Okay, so we are in the last segment of the video, the conclusion part. So what have we learned till now? Half lifeline doesn't mean half life, doesn't mean short life, it certainly doesn't mean death. It does not mean a person cannot live full life. He can definitely live full life. It just indicates something different thing. It indicates something which is more of a structural, psychological and experiential. Many times what happens when a person centers around just one role, one life structure. Okay, so what happens when the life structure or roles change? The person feels less grounded, less settled, or having no direction or purpose. So directionless and purposeless, that's what it happens. So person has to understand that you should not build your life around just one identity or just one role or life structure, because life is big, life is large, huge, there are so many possibilities, and you have to understand the psychological stability or anchoring doesn't come from external roles or identities. It is something which is built internally. It is about psyche, the psychology. So to build this inner grounding, stability, you have to understand yourself, you have to understand the life, you have to build the psychological stability, you have to adapt to life's changes, and You don't anchor yourself to your entire self to just one role or identity. Yes, life is far bigger than that. So, and yeah, see, having identity is not an issue. There are many identities which are roles basically. So having identity itself is not an issue, but thinking that one identity is the only thing, okay, thinking that this is the only identity and this is the only thing which I care about, this is the only thing I love, this is the only thing which is there for life, then there is the issue. So having identity is fine, but it should be flexible, it should not be rigid. You should not stick or to just one identity, that is role. You should know who you are, and you should know this is just a role. Okay, a very simple, I can give you a psychological trick. Let's say instead of saying I am a manager, you can say I work as a manager, my role is of manager. Okay, that's how you can say. Instead of saying I am a homemaker, you can say my role is managing the house, my role is keeping up the house. Yeah, this is very subtle, this is very deep thing, but it changes the psychology, okay, very drastically, because it builds over time. Because remember, society gave you all the validations, reinforcements, that you are this, you are this, you are this. That's why the ego started feeling this is the identity I've been waiting for many births. So this is where the issue happens. So you have to remind yourself you are not that role. See, you can enjoy that role fully, you do enjoy that role, I'm not saying you don't. You distant yourself from the roles or identities. Just remind yourself internally that this is one role, you are not that role. Okay, as simple as saying my role is of teacher. Okay, I work as a teacher, not like I am teacher, my role is of teacher, I work as a teacher, I am not teacher. Simple, this is a simple psychological trick which you can use, so that your ego, the self, the I, the existence, your existence basically, okay, doesn't grab the identity, okay, doesn't hold on to that identity, doesn't attach himself or herself to that identity. So yeah, so the keyword is don't attach yourself to one particular identity structure or anyone. Yes, internally you have to just remind yourself that this is not who I am, and I think it will be, then it will be more clear to you, then it will be very healthy, and you can live very healthy happy life. Yes, so yeah, so this is it for today's video. I know this video has been very heavy because it involved a lot of psychology part, but that's what it is. Yes, I'm here to tell you the truth, which I know, which I have seen, observed, read, studied. So yeah, but any doubt or queries you have, you can pin it down in the comments. I'll reply to your query. Any term or condition you did not understand, any statement if you didn't get it, let me know. You just have to comment it, I'll reply to your questions. That's fine. Or let's say if you want to have some video on how to build the psychological stability, okay, how to live that life. Let's say the half lifeline problem has occurred, now what to do after that, let's say. So if you want video on that, because even in that I have to cover many things. Let's say person at retirement age, person at mid age, and what they can do for man and woman. So yeah, it is something which will again require some detailed discussion. So but don't worry, that will be a short video because you know the theory, so the practical should be very short. So even if you want that, I can do it, you have to let me know. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, like and share and subscribe to my channel. And for any personal queries, consultations, and to understand this thing deeply, and to understand for your case, let's say your personal case, then yes, you can book a consultation with me. I'm surely and gladly there for you to help you. So yeah, hope to see you in the next video. Bye.